Welcome to Procrastinator's Guide to Life, your daily show for conquering the art of productivity and achieving your business goals. If you're anything like me, you're tired of hitting the snooze button, stumbling through your mornings and feeling like you're always one step behind, well, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Tom Stanhope, and together with a diverse lineup of expert guests, we'll help you transform your mornings from chaotic to captivating. Each day I'll share practical tips, strategies, and success stories to empower you to maximize your productivity, boost your business, and make the most of every moment. So without further ado, it's on with the show. Good morning, everybody. How are we doing? So, welcome to week 2 of this whole new venture, Procrastinator's Guide to Life. This is my daily attempt to start my day well. I have in the past been someone who likes to get up early, but I would maybe, do a bit of work. I'd maybe do a little bit of exercise. I'd meander around a little bit, and I wanted to give myself a bit of structure and a bit of purpose at this time of day. So I thought, after doing my own challenge week, all about live video, I spent some time working on my new live show to replace my old live show, which was Content Cocktails, which is in the evening on a Thursday. And I must say, I have thoroughly enjoyed it. Now, what you're sort of seeing as we go along is me building the show out in real time, because I didn't want to be in that familiar old position where I had a great idea, and then I sat on it because I said to myself, I don't want to do it because it won't be perfect. I wanted to just do it and test it out and make sure that as I went along, it was actually getting done as opposed to getting thought about and not getting done. Now, the premise is that every day I turn up and I have a chat with you. First of all, we talk about a tip that I've got. So I've got my tip coming up for the day, and then we bring on a guest. Now we have a guest. We have our first ever guest, Suzanne Young, today, and I'll be bringing her on in a minute. She is going to be good morning, Ruth. How are you doing? She is going to be coming and talking to us about prioritizing, and that is something which it could not be more relevant for us as we talk about procrastination, because prioritizing is one of those things that we all do sort of, I suppose we probably do it instinctively, yet whether we are doing it correctly is another matter. So how can we be intentional about prioritization? And Suzanne we're going to come and talk about this in a minute. So what did I want to share this morning? So I thought I'd tell you a little bit about something that I've been doing with my business, and actually really finding a huge amount of benefit from over the last few weeks. Now, I did a mastermind for a couple of years with Lisa Johnson, which was fantastic. And this year I decided not to do it. And I sort of came out the other end and sort of felt at something of a loss. Actually, there was a sort of a mastermind shaped hole in my life. And I thought leaving it, I thought, well, actually, you know what I need to be doing is just getting on with it and sort of continuing the good work that I started whilst I was in that mastermind. And I sort of came out and realized that there was this missing piece of the puzzle. And so myself and another fellow masterminder, Chantel Davison, who is a fabulous copywriter, we've buddied up. So my sort of tip this morning is finding a sort of a buddy, an accountability buddy. Now, I don't need somebody to tell me to do things in my business. I'm quite good at getting on with stuff, but sometimes it's incredibly useful to have somebody to say at the start of the week, this is what I'm going to be doing this week, and for them to be able to ask questions saying, because they know your business, and for that person to be saying, actually, is that moving you towards or away from your goals? And then you can have a conversation about that. And then at the end of the week, we meet up and we go, so how did the week go? And it's just so useful for me to have somebody who is a friend who is able to ask tough questions of me who is, who's somebody I trust, who's somebody who's got a good understanding of what I'm trying to do, because we talk about our goals and ambitions for our business. So for me, that buddy relationship has been fantastic, and actually having the capacity to have somebody, and there's no, this is purely off our own bat. There's nobody organizing this for us other than ourselves. So something I'd encourage you to maybe explore is to find that person that you can sort of buddy up with, because it gives you a level of structure to help keep you on track with your larger business goals and strategic goals. So I found that really useful. So I thought I'd share that. And it's something we're going to talk about much more as we go on. And I thought I'd share some of the details about how that's working. Now you'll hear I've got a bit of a cold at the moment, which is fantastic. So if I sound a little bit croaky, Mike Boss says, definitely a good idea. Bounce ideas off each other, and they can give you a kick. Exactly. It's a friendly, caring kick, but sometimes a kick nonetheless is useful. So that is my tip for the day. It's actually a surprisingly big one, because it can make a huge difference to your everyday life, and also it can be a little bit lonely in business sometimes. And I think that's why I needed to replace the mastermind with something where there was a level of accountability and being able to sort of see another human face. So now we have got somebody amazing coming on to the show today. So Suzanne Young is somebody who couldn't be a better fit for the first guest in this show, because, and I have the Suzanne's bio that I'm going to read a little bit from, because there's quite a lot to sort of consider. So I'm going to give you a little bit of, I'm going to be the sizzle man for Suzanne, and then she's going to come on in and we're going to have a chat about prioritization. So Suzanne is an expert in time management and high performance. Suzanne believes high performance starts with rest, care, and well-being. I couldn't agree more. Suzanne uses her extensive productivity knowledge, gained over 20 years of delivering high-impact projects in many industries, and owning her own business to support high-potential, awesome humans to achieve more than they could have thought. More than they thought they could. Wow, put your teeth in, Tom. Suzanne's known for bringing drive and energy to everything she tackles, and is passionate about helping demystify seemingly huge tasks into manageable chunks to help clients achieve their dreams. She's an expert at planning and organizing random thoughts into cohesive action, and elicits ideas and fears to understand what needs to be tackled to make dreams come true. So, without further ado, here is Suzanne Young.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm pretty good. Best time of the day, in my opinion. Morning, Ruth, and I saw somebody else was in there. Hello. Yeah, so thanks for the invite.
Well, thank you for being here. So look, this is great, because you are the first official guest on the show, and it's as I've said, this is something I'm sort of building out as I go along, and you and I, we're going to be working together as you've come on as part of Video Academy, which is the, of course, the doors closed today, incidentally, people. So we're going to be going on a video journey ourselves. But today, talk to me about prioritization.
Right, thanks. Right, so I'm a real geek in the fact that I get very passionate about time management. I'm highly productive. I quite often refer to as a bit of a machine, and actually the truth couldn't be any further away from reality, because I'm anything but a machine. I just work smart. And the way I do this is by prioritizing things. So I'm like you, I'm up early. My morning routine starts with, I have a lovely mantra, which is body before business, can't even say it. Body before business, mind before body. So I start the day with mindset work. And that gets me in a really good mindset. And I've just been writing my email to my email list, and they say, you know, I recognise I've got a bit of a mindset skew because I think the weather is better at 6 a.m. than it is at 8 a.m. Now, I'm pretty sure that if I go and look and did a research project, I'd find that that's not necessarily the case. But I recognise that my mindset tells me that that's the case. Of course, I get the evidence for what's in my mind. So mindset good, you'll get good quality evidence that lift you up even further. So let's start there. So the first thing to do is tackle your mindset. When you're in that funk and you've got a big task, don't try and plow through the task. Do some exercise. Go for a walk. Because if you fight it, you're just always in conflict and you deteriorate your mindset. But if you just accept where you are and change it, it's much better. Anyway, that's not the point. What I was going to tell you about was people get overwhelmed very easily, and all of us, including me, get overwhelmed. And there's a lot of people suggesting that time blocking is the best way to deal with your time and productivity. And time blocking has a role. But being sat with a diary full of time blocks can still be quite paralyzing. And I can see you nodding. Yes, everybody finds that. They go, time blocking, great. And then they go, oh, still don't know what to do. So there's a couple of steps in the dance first, right? And the first one that I teach everybody is, do you understand what you want to achieve? So you talked just earlier on in your introduction about strategy and about your business and your strategic goals. I'd suggest you need to think about your personal goals too. So the first thing to do is to think about those goals and then your task list and say, where do these fit the tasks in terms of importance and urgency? And the way I teach this is I say, go through your to-do list and highlight it through everything important. Now go through it again and put a star next to everything that's urgent. And all of a sudden, you know the ones that are urgent and important, and you know the ones that are neither, and the other two. But those two are significant because they kind of sit up here and down here in the grid, and you look at the urgent and important ones first. Now, if you've got a list of 10, at that point, you're still going to be overwhelmed. So what you do then is you say, well, hang on a minute, let's play with the urgency. Are they urgent by being needed this week? Is it in the next 3 days? Is it today? Is it this morning? Until you can get them down to 3 or 4. And these are the ones you tackle first. The other thing you do after you've kind of got that idea is you go back through your to-do list, and this sounds really long and clunky. Once you nail this way of working, it's instant. You go back through your to-do list and you look at it really carefully and being really honest, and this is where an accountability partner comes in, quite helpful. What do you need to do? What can you delegate? What can you defer? And what really can you delete? Because there'll be things in there you could delete that nothing would happen if you didn't do them. So now you've got urgent, important, and you've got a list of what you've got to do, what you can delegate. So the first time block you spend is on the most urgent, important thing. The second time block you spend is on the delegation. And you get those tasks off your plate because that frees you up some thinking time. Then you go back to your urgent, important stuff again. And that's how you structure your time blocks. And now you're not kind of stuck with a page full of time blocks going, what the hell do I do? Now, you've got some tasks in all of that are non-urgent and non-important. And the thing is, tasks aren't static. They'll sometimes jump. So, for example, important but non-urgent is me ordering my dog food.
Yeah.
Until Sunday, when I realise I'm going to run out on Tuesday. And now all of a sudden it's really important and really urgent. So what you do with this kind of non-important, non-urgent stuff is twice a week, you take 1 hour of time block and you do a power hour. You make the phone calls, you reply to the letters, you respond to the emails, but you stop. Like old time blocks, you stop at the end of that time block. And then the last thing, and I hear you talk about this, and I don't know if you know where it comes from, minimum viable product.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that comes from agile project management, which is a project management methodology created by software engineers. It works great for software engineers, not always everywhere else. However, it does work really well for us entrepreneurs, because this is where you identify what's the least you could do. Now, the methodology I use for that is called Moscow. Are you familiar with that?
I'm not.
So this is how you get to your minimum viable product. You apply something called Moscow. What must I do? What should I do? What could I do? And what won't I do?
Like it. Yeah.
And this methodology, like this technique, helps you. Like if you've got a time block that's an hour, and actually you finish the task in 15 minutes, you start bringing in the shoulds and the coulds, but you always leave out the won'ts. Yeah. And then I'm going to give you a little bit more thought about what's behind time blocking. There's something called Parkinson's law of projects. And Parkinson's law of projects is a bit like Boyle's law of gas, if you can remember your chemistry. It says that a task, well, it actually says a project, but a task will expand to fit the time available for it. Doesn't mean the quality of it's going to be any better if you've got longer.
Well, I think it tends to contract as well. So the sort of the opposite is true. If you constrict the space that task fits,
you'll get it done
miraculously somehow.
So that's exactly it. And I always set a deadline. So if I get a task to be done, my first thing will be, when do you need it by? Because then I know where it comes in my time blocks. The other thing I would say about time blocking is always leave an hour's worth of time blocks, probably in 2 30-minute chunks, available, because there will be something that comes in. And if something doesn't come in, just use it for a power hour. Just use it to do those bottom things. And that's it. That's time management in a nutshell. That's
perfect. I mean, actually, as you were going through, it was sort of my mind was sparking off. So are you using the sort of the quadrant grid, the sort of Eisenhower matrix to kind of to move things around? And is there a time of the day when you do that? Are you doing that the day before? Or are you doing what's your personal sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Timetabling for that prioritization.
So I do it twice, if you like. I double handle it. Yeah. So I'll set it for the week on a Sunday.
Nice. Okay.
But every morning I reassess it for that day.
Perfect.
And yes, you draw it out in a grid. You start off there, but yeah. I don't. And then I don't know if I told you. I don't know if you saw this, but I had a magpie come in the sitting room the week before. Did you see this post I did about it?
I think I missed this.
Right. So it was a true. This is how embodied all of this practice is for me. Right. So I was up early. It was going to be a hot day, so at 6 o'clock in the morning I was doing my ironing, and I'd missed a class I was doing a course on, so I thought, I'll watch that while I'm ironing. Brilliant. So I went, put the laptop on the mantelpiece, switched it on, and had a morning lovelies message quite loud, and heard a fuffle of a bird, and I thought, well, I must tell the instructor that they've woken the bird up. thought, oh, it might be a bit loud. I live in a bungalow and it's all wood floor, so the noise travels. I'll go and get my headphones. So I got my headphones. Realised I had no water. Went and got the water. Came back to find a magpie in the living room. So what the hell? And and I've got two really big dogs, and the dog's like lying on the threshold looking at this magpie in the living room. And I'm like, oh, crikey. So immediately this is what happens, right? It's now super urgent, super important. It's trumped everything else, clearly, right? This is an emergent task that is trumped everything else. First thing, what must I do? I must contain it in the living room. I live in a dormer bungalow. If it gets out and it gets up the stairs, I can't get it because of the slope of the roof. So move the dog, shut the door, right? So now it's contained. I must have contained it, right? I must get it out of the house. Okay. I could catch it. I should get it out as quick as possible. All of this is going through my head. I worked out. I got it out of the house in 13 seconds. But this whole triage process was going through my head. So I went back in the living room, put the water down, put my headphones down. I don't know why I needed my headphones out at this point, though. You know, they were doing nothing. And we have two patio doors, and it was the other thing I've done is I've stood for 2 seconds and watched what it's doing. And it's at the right-hand side patio door. So I opened the left-hand side patio door. I go over the living room, and again, I'm still applying Moscow all the time, right? What could happen here? It could fly this way, and I've got scenarios going through the whole time. And I didn't want to scare it. It was clearly stressed, and I didn't want to scare it anymore. So I leant over the chair and unlocked the patio door where it was. And because I was ironing, and I iron everything, I had a tea towel. So I just kind of fluffed it with the tea towel, and I went straight out the door. So it didn't fly to the other door. No. But it flew straight out. But afterwards, I thought, crikey, that was a real good demonstration of how embodied I am in this whole triage in your to-do list. You know, it trumped everything. It was clearly super urgent and important. Yeah. I went right through what must I do, could I do, should I do, when am I going to do it? And I also went through, this is the bit that I just missed. I also went through, do I do this or defer it, delegate? Well, I couldn't defer it. Couldn't delegate it because the other member of the household had heard me go, oh, sugar, or words to that effect, and had thought I'd found a spider and doesn't like spiders, so he decided he was going to stay in bed anyway. And I'd gone through all of these steps really quick, like within 13 seconds it was over. And the reason I tell you that is the more you practice this, the better you become at it. But actually, once you get it, it will transform how much you can do. You'll be amazed at how much you can do with less stress.
And that's the goal, isn't it? We want to do the best we possibly can for in a way that feels good. I think feels good for us, feels good for those people that we're working with, and ultimately, I think an easier, stress-free life is a beautiful thing.
And the other thing I don't do, and I used to do this, right, and I was guilty of this, was I don't berate myself if I don't finish things. I used to, but now for me it's all about progress, not perfection. And if I've progressed, I've won.
And I think with that feeling of progress is a really powerful thing to have, because it builds on itself, and you sort of get, well, I certainly know that I do. I love that feeling of winning, and you know it becomes quite an addictive thing when you're sort of plowing through lists of things in that purposeful way. It can feel fantastic. Oh, yeah. Mike Boss says, really great advice, thanks.
You're welcome.
Yes, this is perfect. So Suzanne, thank you so much for coming in and sharing. Now, tell us, where can people find you? Do you have any resources that you'd like to direct people towards that you can bring to? Let's hear about how we can join your world. Get more.
Okay, so I run a free group called Thrive, the group for awesome humans. I welcome everybody there. That's really important to me, by the way. I don't work just with women. I don't work just with men. I work with multiple genders, and that's kind of where I'm happy. You can find me on LinkedIn. You'll find me as a Suzanne Young, high performance coach and project manager. You can always DM me. I've got a shiny new website, suzanneyoungcoaching.co.uk. There's a few pages on there at the moment. There will be more coming when I launch my Springboard program in September.
Fabulous.
I was interested in what you said right at the beginning about accountability. So accountability is really important to certain personality types. So I'm going to kind of go off on a tangent here, Tom. Gretchen Rubin has a book called The Four Tendencies. And I suspect you are an obliger, Tom, same as me. So you need accountability.
Yeah.
There's an upholder who follows the rules regardless, an obliger who does it because somebody else is going to know if they haven't done it. The questioner who needs to know exactly why they're doing it, but once they know exactly why they're doing it, will do it. And the rebel who sod off it, I'm not doing it for you. Right? They're the four tendencies. It's she's got a quiz on her website. It's a really interesting insight to yourself.
Yeah.
But because of that, because I'm an obliger and I recognize that I work with a lot of obligers, I have an accountability session free in my group every other Sunday.
Amazing.
It's a co-working session, accountability session. It runs at 8 a.m. till 10 a.m. on a Sunday morning. So again, an early one for a weekend. And that's just a drop-in session. If you need coaching, if you need, I don't know how to manage these tasks, Suzanne, I just hold the space. And you access that through my group.
Fabulous. And I'm going to go and check that out now myself, because that sounds really helpful. And look, I just want to say a huge thank you for being here this morning. So we're going to wave our goodbyes to Suzanne, and if you have any sort of questions for her, please do pop them in the comments. In fact, we have a comment from Ruth. So before we go, interesting points about the accountability types, Suzanne. It's finding the right mix has been a challenge for me. Well, Ruth, there is, by the sounds of it, a perfect fit. And as Ruth is a Video Academy member as well, so we're all going to be getting to know each other a lot better over the coming weeks and months.
It was a real interesting thing when I came across that, and it's behind me. But it's a tiny little thin book, and I first listened to it on Audible, and then went, "Oh, this is so good! I need to get my highlighter on this book and read it a bit more." And I'll screen it on Audible and then go, "Oh yeah, I need this one." But once you know who you are and you can spot people, like and it's one of the things in the book that's just come back to me is to tell you to look at signage. You know, when you're out and about, and work out who the sign is written for.
I like it. That's really nice.
It's a quite fun game to play, because it's rare that you get a sign written for all four. But when you do, you know it's someone who's quite clued.
That's fascinating. Now I'm going to go and start doing this. I think I'm going to go and read this book, actually, because that sounds really good. Brilliant. Well, I'll remove Suzanne from the and we'll catch up in a minute once we're finished. So stick around and we'll chat a little bit. So thank you once again, Suzanne, for all your insights into how we can prioritize and get the most out of our time. So I thought that was fantastic. Actually, that was really, really good. I've been sort of fabulous, sort of scribbling away while Suzanne was talking, actually, because this is one of these things where certainly for me, I was listening to it thinking, yeah, I'm doing some of that, but there's nuance there, and there's insights which are really, really helpful. So I love that. That was brilliant, really good. So thank you. What a great way to start the week, actually. So my call to action for you today is this. We are less than 18 hours now away from the doors closing on Video Academy. So Video Academy is my course. I run it once a year. It is all about using video as a tool for your business, to grow your business. It is, this is in some ways an embodiment of this kind of prioritization and sort of the approach to video that says we want to get you creating content that is going to grow your audience and grow your business as quickly as possible. And here's how to do it. So if you are looking to become more visible, if you're looking to use video as a marketing tool, or if you are somebody who has been looking at it thinking, I really want to be doing that, but can't, or have been holding yourself back because of all these things that go on our heads about the fear of being seen, about all these things that hold us back from using video, Video Academy will take you on that journey. It is still available, but not for long. So if you are thinking that video is something you want to be doing, that you need to be doing, and I would say if you're not, you need to be looking at it and asking yourself what's holding you back, then I would love to welcome you into the Video Academy course. It can be spread over 12 months. We're doing something a little bit crazy this year, so you can spread it over 12 months, £49 a month for 12 months, and you get access to, obviously, the course itself. You get access to Video Skills Made Easy and an accountability group and a group of people who are going to support you on your journey. So there we go. That is my pitch to you today. And that's that. I will see you again tomorrow at 6 p.m. for another fabulous Procrastinator's Guide to Life. It is just turning into my favorite part of the day. So see you tomorrow. Thanks for being here. Bye-bye.